build your dream home or renovate your space? M&M Construction is the perfect place. We bring your vision to life with precision and quality craftsmanship. From design to construction, we guide you every step, ensuring seamless coordination and superior results. Our professional roof inspection and maintenance services will ensure that your roof is sturdy this hurricane season. So, if you are ready to start your construction journey, call us today at 345-927-7509. Build with confidence. Build with M&M Construction. 345-927-7509.
Good morning. This is day 28. Awake to righteousness and do not sin, for some do not have the knowledge of God. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 34. Ants and Elephant Seals, written by Dave Egnon. Elephant seals spend most of their lives sleeping. Science News magazine reports male elephant seals measure 16 feet from trunk-like nose to flipper, and they weigh about 3 tons. Occasionally, a seal will use a front flipper, incredibly tiny for such a massive creature, to scratch itself or flip sun-shielding sand on its body. Otherwise, these huge animals are basically motionless. The article goes on to state that because they don't eat while on land during the breeding season, they sleep most of the time. Besides scratching, dirt flipping, or rolling over, these ponderous animals seldom move. By contrast, the little ant seems tireless as it goes about its industrious work of storing up food for the colony. The writer of Proverbs commends the diligence of the ant, citing her active ways as a model for people who would live wisely. There's a spiritual lesson here. Christians who pattern their service after the ant get things done for the Lord, but others, like the elephant seal, scarcely move. They seem to be barely alive spiritually, as if they are conserving their energy for some huge effort later on. But the time to get busy for Christ is now, even though our talents may seem insignificant. Imitate the ant, not the elephant seal. Lord Christ, we humbly ask of thee the power and will, with fear and meekness, every task of duty to fulfill. A quote this morning reads, "Many Christians do nothing, but no Christian has nothing to do." End quote.
First, I want to welcome you back to the breakfast hour this morning. And indeed, we are having so much going on this morning. It is, we started off a while ago, last conversation to check and see if we were actually doing a thing. We had a technical difficulty, but I realized that we are actually okay, and we are still good. All right, technical support this morning. Yeah, so much to talk about. It was the was yesterday, and many persons were awarded.
Yes.
Yes, yes. I also want to mention that the Gold family, the father of Mr. Gold, Locks the Gold, or or the family was actually highlighted at the Heroes Days celebration yesterday on entrepreneurship in the Cayman Islands. One of the persons who would have been the first sets of persons who would come to the island and would have done a whole lot of stuff right here in the Grand Cayman Islands.
Well, I will extend congratulations, of course, to the entire family, because when one person achieves, certainly
All of us.
all of us would have achieved.
Yeah, so I want to say good morning to Mr. Locks the Gold, of course, to the lady, Sister Carol Gold this morning, and of course to the Gold family. So many, it's a large family, right?
I like large families.
Large family is like you don't need anybody outside to come and have any fun with you. You just have your own fun with yourself. You play with yourself. Have your own. It's like I grew up in a family where I have siblings.
Yes.
And so I had quite a few siblings plus cousins, and then we had friends of the cousins.
Right.
And so it was a very interesting way of living. So yeah, we were talking about the karaoke earlier on, Lady Elise, and we have what I'm going to do is to place the karaoke on the screen or flyer on the screen so that the entire world can see what we're doing. All right, so what we're doing is for those who don't understand, I don't know, and I can understand, and we do sympathize with the persons who do not understand, and may make comments on some persons, as you said earlier, is thinking about the idea that we are doing this thing on the Sabbath. No, this is after the Sabbath. It's after Sabbath hours, which means sunset already, and we would be starting our karaoke at sunset, which means it's social time, guys. Of course, Ebenezer SDA Church had their social last week, and Flashpoint was a big part of that social activity. And we did a wonderful thing with that. So yes, if you're seeing us, if you're seeing this flyer this morning and seeing us advertising this one, please, it's our social activity, Flashpoint Social, and of course it's Saturday night, not Sabbath night, which is Friday to Sabbath at sunset. So let's get the idea of persons who think that we are doing something different. So you think of it as Sunset Friday, or of course we have lots of new Adventists. Lots of new persons, And if you're not so new, that's all right too. But remember, sunset is when it begins on Friday and it ends at sunset on Saturday. That's what it is. So, all right. So, as we put that out there and we get that out the way, without any further ado, Lady Elise, I want to say good morning. Yeah, so, let's get back to the actual what's happening in our neck of the wood. Of course, the celebration yesterday was awesome. Lots of stuff went on. If you have any highlighted, apart from the Goals family.
Well, I would have missed the entire celebration on the Grand K. I normally look forward to it because, of course, part of the Edward Street in the town center would have been, sectioned off to accommodate the ceremony, as we certainly took time to recognize those persons who have contributed, not only presently, but in times past, in historical times, persons who would have certainly made their mark here in the Cayman Islands. And so it was an interesting day, and we have learned so much. I had the privilege, Mikey G, of attending a funeral on the weekend, on Sunday actually, for someone who was recognized not as a hero, but somebody recognized here in Islands for many years of service
Yes.
in the health field. So and Pastor Drackett delivered such a message. And the highlight of that message, which I have taken from, is that we should not scatter roses while the person is gone. Whatever you have to do for someone, do it now while they are alive and can appreciate it. He
Yes.
reminded us that, of course, it is a time when the persons are alive and well. If you can visit, if you can lend a helping hand, if anything you can do, certainly would be appreciated while the person is alive.
And indeed, Lady Elise, it is sometimes, the that's the blunt of the conversation, right? The brunt of the conversation is right there when you
Yes,
say, "Don't scatter roses when I'm gone." It seems to be the standard mode of operandi when we find our loved one lost. Then that's the time when we are actually going out there crying, and that person will be alive for so long, and you have never visited them one time. You know that they are not living in a good condition, but you've never given them anything. You have never tried. In fact, you get the excuse to say that they did not succeed and they're worthless, and whatever reasons you can come up with why you would not help that person or try to assist. But when funeral time come, you come in and you bring the biggest rose and the biggest everything, the best casket to put the person in, but never bought them a plate of food when they were alive. No, that's kind of like a thing. I'm not saying this is the case with this lady, but I'm saying it's important that when persons are alive, like me, if I'm alive now and you want to give me something nice, please do it now. Do it now. Don't give me a nice casket, guys. Give me a nice big, yeah, Lamborghini, or you just go out there and do something nice. Donate to Flashpoint, build Flashpoint bigger, help us to grow faster. Like, share, and subscribe. There are persons who are deliberately sometimes they will hate you for what you do, and they will dislike you because you're doing it. And sometimes it's a tricky thing to really manage that process, Lady Elise. It's not easy to manage a process, but that is how it is. The heart of man is always going to be what it is. We can't do anything with that, but we can do one thing though. We can definitely share the love for those who are, wanting to share the love for us. So of course, like, share, subscribe, and share our content with others so Flashpoint reach all over the world and bring some of these great stuff that we bring here. All right. We had some stuff going on the weekend, the dailies. So Euros was going on one side of the world, but the US was going on with a whole different ball game altogether. There were so many things happening across the United States of America, and we had persons just simply, scampering for their lives, trying to figure out how to survive in this very country, the country that you call the free liberty, the country of liberty and freedom. You wonder what's going on, and persons are actually asking the big question. You know, how do we move on past this? There's the I could share with you, you know, some footage that it is from some of the things that are happening. But this morning with our listeners this morning, but I don't know if you've ever been following what's going on across the U.S.
I believe I would have lost, I have not been following closely. I have been hearing and picking up bits of information as I go along. And I had a conversation with someone yesterday, and they sought to just, you know, enlighten me as it relates to prophecy and what we can expect as things, as things surely show themselves. We can expect. So we ought not. And then the person actually reminded us, remember that this president did declare what he was going to do before the election. So what is happening now should come as no surprise, because he clearly stated, this is my stand on these things, and these things will happen. So now that, of course, steps are taken in place that will impact not just persons living in the US, but those who are it's a global impact.
Yes.
We
It's a global. It's wider than it's not contained within the U.S. alone.
Yes.
But when we look at what we say, we are promising stuff. Many governments has promised over the years. Election promises were made, and when the time comes, none of these promises are actually fulfilled. But then these would have been things that would have been great things that we're thinking about. Crime and violence. Yes, it's always a big thing. We hear people say that crime is in your country and you're going to get rid of it. Now, Donald Trump is also promising that he's going to name a few people terrorists and all that. So I'm going to share the clip with us this morning, our listeners this morning, as we go forward for this episode of the Breakfast Hour this morning. I will share this one with us this morning. First clip this morning for us.
Mexico and elsewhere. It's foreign terrorist organizations. This is something that previous administrations have resisted doing because of the potential impact with the Mexican government. What tools does that give you that you don't have now to go after these cartels?
Well, first of all, I've been pushing for this for a long time because these terrorist the criminal cartels in Mexico have killed more Americans than every terrorist organization in the world combined, right? Record number of sex trafficking women and children, but the drugs, the fentanyl has killed over 250,000 Americans. So they need to be terrorist organizations. But that puts a whole weight of the United States government on them. Not only are we just going to deal with the operations of Mexico, but the Jalisco cartels in 43 countries around the world. So we'll work with other world leaders to attack this cartel all over the world and bring them to their knees. It has to be done.
All right, so that's what President Trump is saying. Of course, the government is saying that they're going to be targeting the cartels all over the world, and they're going to be bringing some attention to criminal organization. Of course, by naming them terrorist organization, then they can bring the full gamut of the law on those organizations that have been basically terrorizing the nation, as it were, as the conversation went on, and to bring some closure or to bring some stability to the country, and by and large stop the flow of drugs and illegal activity in that, and cartel activity within that, because it's not just drugs, extortion and other things are added to that list of things that they would have been found to be actively engaged in. So that's a little bit of stuff that came up this morning, and we are looking at that. It's not just one thing, Lady Elise. We also looked at the idea some persons has been arrested, basically, and for being in the United States illegally. And this is, I want to share this one with you as well. Of persons who are actually in the United States have found themselves living in the U.S. for a long period of time. But here is persons who are trying to get across the border or trying to come into the country, or, has been trying, there's lots of pushback of not letting in any more persons in the U.S. So let's look at another clip of persons on the border trying to get in to the U.S.
Who were convicted of murder and aggravated sexual.
Okay, so let me share the right clip for you. All right, here we go. Let me see if I can share the right. Let me see if I can share the right clip with you this morning, and get this one in there for you. All right, so did I copy it twice? All right, here we go.
Trump's promise of mass deportations have sent fears to the Central Valley, where migrant farm workers aren't showing up to work. The California Farm Bureau says the industry's taken a hit after immigration agents conducted several operations in Kern County last week. And workers not showing up to work may lead to higher food prices. Here's why.
They're not going to show up for work, and that means crops will remain in the field and not be harvested and probably lost at that point.
The Farm Bureau joined Monterey County in pledging to do what they can to protect workers and their families.
They were called essential workers during the pandemic when our nation needed them, and now they are asking us to be there for them when they need us.
All right, so that's well, I did show the wrong clip a while ago. Somehow, I went off and I showed the wrong clip. All right, that's what happened. So many persons in the U.S. Let's go to that conversation then. So many persons in the U.S. Actually, workers, the undocumented. Some of them are not. But it is a very scary time for many persons. You see, Elise, where many persons who are even working in supermarkets or on these farms or wherever, they are not turning up for work anymore because they're not putting themselves out there to be caught by the ICE agents. Of course, this is a very terrifying time for many persons living in the U.S. for many years. And of course, there are, some persons, you can say that they are illegal, and by being illegal, you are deemed a criminal right away. And so, you look at the conversation and you'd say, where's the balance in it? Sometimes,
yes.
Because this country was birthed out of the idea of immigrants coming to the United States. There are indigenous people who were here before, and those indigenous people are, basically, if just follow the story, and now this is the same persons who would have gotten the chance to be at a place where they were given sanctuary, they were given the ability to thrive and to build families and to grow, but not without hardship, of course, because I remember when they came to this country, the indigenous people were living here already, and basically a bloodbath slaughter went on both sides of the fence. People killed each other because what happened was the immigrants came in and basically just took over in so many places, took the lands, and basically killed the indigenous people. The indigenous people returned and started the attack, and it went on and went on. Now the indigenous people is now living on plantation. So
wow.
It's a troubling time to see. I'm not saying that the president don't have the right to close his borders and to ensure that criminals are apprehended and all of these things are happening. If in fact those persons, but then there must be a place where there is a level of for those persons, children who were born in the U.S. There's a lot of stuff going on. They are not deemed citizens, or they're trying to stop that birthright citizenship. That is one of the things that the U.S. boasts for a long time. But they say the Constitution can be changed, and so everybody's looking in that direction at this time. So I don't know. It's quite a few things. Let me share with you one more clip this morning of the what's happening across the U.S.
According to Customs and Border Protection, this disruption started at about 1:30 on Sunday, and this happened at the Paso del Norte Bridge in El Paso, Texas. Now, this connects El Paso to Ciudad Juarez, Mexico, and CBP says that they deployed physical barriers to stop this attempted mass entry into the United States. Why are we seeing this right now? Well, you probably remember the immigration policy towards Venezuelans changed in October, and since then there's been a swelling of Venezuelans in Ciudad Juarez on the Mexican side.
All right, so that's what's going on. I just, it's a lot of stuff going on, So for those who don't know, the thing is at a different level right now.
But I'll say to you this, Mikey G, when I look on that clip and I recognize what's happening in the world around us, I believe we shared a news item a few months ago about persons who lost their lives trying to get to a better place. They would have gone on a boat and the boat would have sunk. And many persons, and when people reach that point of desperation, where they are looking for hope or they're looking to survive, and sometimes they know exactly what they're getting into. You know that if you board this ship or if you try to enter the country illegally, you could possibly lose your life, but they take the chance anyhow. And that certainly is heartbreaking, that persons who would have sacrificed everything and just for a better life. And it reminds me, it reminds me, Mikey G, of the hope that Christ has given us. And when we are in a stable environment, listen, we give God thanks because remember, we don't have any control over where we're born, what we look like. We have absolutely no control over that. We're just born. And when we try to survive at all costs, it's difficult. Our financial advisor, though, is getting ready to come on.
Yes. Well, Lady Elise, I want to just say this to you this morning that most of the persons who are actually hunting some of these persons are the same nation, the same genetics. These are the same persons who are the same ethnicity. They are the ones who are responsible for actually targeting. You know, it is when you see how this thing is going, it's crazy. You know.
Yeah, no choice.
It's crazy.
I've always said in my professional experience in the medical field, one of the discovery that I've made is that we are all the same on the inside.
Well, you know, we have found ways in which we can divide ourselves again. You know, and I've always talked about this idea that if we are not educated enough, or we have different educational background, if the color of our skin, if our hair texture is different, if our, you know, if we live in a certain neighborhood, you know, it defines us. And of course, if we have certain positions, these are the things. We use so many different things. And now, you know, we use what you call statuses, the status of one individual over the other, whether you're Caymanian or you're not Caymanian, one deems more better than the other, and is, of course, treated one worse or less than or disrespected because of the fact that you are not of the same cloth or of the same status. And you know, so we as human beings have been so unkind to each other for many times over, and we find these reasons to do it. And you know, we justify our minds. We are happy justifying ourselves. But, you know, there's a time, Elise, when we all get a chance to, you know, as Pastor Glenn Samuel says, when we suck or, you know, we sniff that dying pillow, you sleep on it and you see the evil that you have done in your life. You tears at your face, stain in your eyes when it runs at the side of your head, and see the wickedness that you have done. For some persons, they are not allowed to see those wickedness. You know, going over to Jamaica, we found, you know, and let me say this: for those persons who are committing crime and would have come to your country and do these things, then I am agreeing with the authorities to. I just want to put a disclaimer in there that you have a right to make sure that those persons are not. But then it cannot be a broad brush that you use to cover everybody and then classify everyone as the same, because you have hardworking men and women, and of course they are there, and of course they are criminals. And that is everywhere in society. It's not something new. It's not a new entity. And there are local guys who are criminals. There are guys who probably come in there, they are criminals, but they are all, you know, people are going to be doing stuff to do what they do. But here it is. You cannot, at any point, use one broad brush to cover everyone and deem everyone the same, right? And so it is a difficult thing to see, because at this point, the same persons in one country that is doing this is in another country getting the same service done to them. Now it looks a little bad that time when it happens to them somewhere else. And you know, oh, we are Caymanian, we are American, we are English, and we're not supposed to be treated this way. No, but you treat others the same way, you know. And it's difficult to see the disparity when you don't want the same treatment meted out for yourself, but you mete it out for everyone else. I'm saying, yes, go through the right channels to get to the places you want to get to and do the right things. I'm not supporting anyone who wants to operate illegally in any way, any form. And we're not going to use this platform to highlight and to sympathize with persons who are fraudulent or doing criminal activities in any way. Back in Jamaica, we looked at a thick man actually who was killed over the weekend by the police, and Spanish Town was shut down. There's so many things going on, you know.
Happening.
So many things.
Share that item of news, and perhaps we could have the news on while our financial advisor gets ready to make his presentation today.
All right, so when we come back after this break. Of course, welcome to the breakfast. If you're just joining us, I want to say good morning to you. All our VIPs, I want to say good morning to you. And of course, all our karaoke fans, guys, we are coming up with our karaoke comes up this weekend. Yes, this weekend on Saturday evening. Do remember it is Saturday evening. It's going to be our karaoke right here in the Grand Cayman Islands. Let's just bring that one up for somebody to see. All right. So our karaoke comes up in the Grand Cayman this weekend on Saturday evening. It's our social presentation from Flashpoint. So all Flashpoint crew, all members of Flashpoint, please turn up for that one. And all those who love Flashpoint. I mean, you have to understand that not everybody going to love you, Lady Elise. Even if you're the nicest person, even if you're the most generous person, and everybody will not like you at all. But whatever the reasons are, we want to say, come out to the karaoke this weekend, and of course, come and enjoy a wonderful evening, and just enjoy yourself. Yeah. Of course, when we come back with our news this morning, brought to you by Asai Ultrasound for all your ultrasound needs, right here in the Grand Cayman Islands.
When you need ultrasound that's safe and effective, you must visit Asai Ultrasound Imaging. They're conveniently located at number 4 Chestnut Center, Smith Road, Georgetown, Cayman Islands. With experienced technologists with over 20 years experience, their friendly staff will make you comfortable while you get your procedure done. Asai Ultrasound Imaging is open Mondays to Fridays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturdays. Call Asai Ultrasound Imaging 345-949-2454 or 345-938-3426. That's 345-949-2454 or 345-938-3426.
Flashpoint Radio for the Breakfast Hour. I'm Coralie Karen. Here are the top stories making headlines this morning. Georgetown's $6 million park transformation on the way. The long-awaited Central Scranton Park in Georgetown is finally taking shape, with an additional $1.9 million added to its funding allocation. The tourism pushing to complete the $6 million project, which had been stalled for years. Residents like Vilora Sinclair are thrilled to see progress, describing it as a long overdue development. Pelicans grace Grand Cayman for winter practice. Brown pelicans have made their seasonal return to Grand Cayman, delighting bird watchers and residents alike. Around 30 of these distinctive birds are reportedly diving and fishing along 7 Mile Beach and inland pools like Malportas and Meager Bay. Birdwatchers say they're here until March, honing survival skills in their winter retreat. Auditor General releases redacted Regen report. The Auditor General's report on the abandoned Regen solid waste deal has been published. While key financial details remain redacted due to commercial sensitivities, Auditor General Sue Winspear assures the full version will be released after the government formally terminates the deal, with the deadline now extended to February 28th. Cayman's past preserved by West Bay collector. West Bay resident Tony Powell continues to preserve Cayman's history through his collections of artifacts now displayed in a thrift store near Heritage Kitchen. Powell hopes the collection can remain intact, potentially under the care of a museum. Visitors can view this treasure trove and learn about the lives of past Caymanians. Gaelic season kicks off with charity anti-competition. The 2025 Gaelic season began with the Conyers Mixed 11s tournament, featuring 20 corporate teams competing at Camana Bay. The event showcased talents while raising funds for local charities. Gaelic Club Chairman Cathal McGrath noted significant improvements in play performance compared to previous years. In regional news, Jamaica achieves exchange rate stability. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has announced that Jamaica has achieved remarkable exchange rate stability. Speaking at the Jamaica Stock Exchange's conference, Holness highlighted a 0.9% depreciation in the Jamaican dollar over the past year, a significant improvement from the 5.4% recorded in 2016 before his administration took office. Still in Jamaica, Mountain View protest disrupts traffic and schools. Residents of Mountain View staged a fiery protest following the fatal police shooting of Eric Shakespeare, a 55-year-old groundsman. Schools in the area were forced to close early due to escalating tensions. Investigations are ongoing, with Indicom notified of the incident. Over in Dominica, missing aircraft wreckage found. The wreckage of a missing aircraft has been located west of La Plaine in Dominica. French and Dominican rescue teams are assessing the crash site, but tragically, no signs of life have been found. The aircraft had been missing since Sunday. In St. Kitts, prosecutor charged in murder cover-up. Crown Counsel prosecutor Santrice Dorset faces serious charges, including accessory to murder and misconduct in connection with the killing of Akeem Archibald. Authorities allege Dorset used her position to influence the surrender of the murder weapon and assist the suspect in fleeing the country. Those were your news headlines on Flashpoint Radio. Please continue to stay tuned throughout the day for more updates.
When you need ultrasound that's safe and effective, you must visit Asai Ultrasound Imaging. They're conveniently located at number 4 Chestnut Center, Smith Road, Georgetown, Cayman Islands. With experienced technologists with over 20 years experience, their friendly staff will make you comfortable while you get your procedure done. Asai Ultrasound Imaging is open Mondays to Fridays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturdays. Call Asai Ultrasound Imaging 345-949-2454 or 345-938-3426. That's 345-949-2454 or 345-938-3426.
Welcome back, of course, to another episode of the Breakfast Hour. A lot happening in the news. However, our financial advisor is joining us this morning. And as promised, he's talking about debt, I believe. And so we want to welcome him back. Welcome, Richard. Welcome to the Breakfast Hour.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me again.
Well, I want to say good morning also to the financial advisor, Mr. Richard Twelwell, this morning. I want to ask what's coming up in this advice for us today on debt management.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we are hearing you perfectly fine.
Good. So I'm going to start by asking both of you a question. When you hear the word debt, what comes to mind?
I'm scared already. I become frightened. I become frightened. My heart starts to race, and I'm thinking I'm in a big problem here. That's the first thing that comes to my mind.
And of course that the borrower is servant to the lender.
Okay. And the truth is, many of us actually think of financial hardships, financial stress, the bills piling up, right? Especially those with credit cards. But the truth is, debt isn't always the villain in our financial story. As a matter of fact, if we use the debt wisely, it can be a powerful tool for building our wealth and to achieve our financial goals. What I'd like to do during our discourse this morning is to try to show you how debt can be good or bad and how we can maximize on our good debt and of course minimize or eliminate any form of bad debt.
All right.
So the whole idea of debt, what was the purpose of debt initially? It has been around for as long as so when in its formal sense, as a tool, so imagine this. You're a small farmer. You need seed, corn, for argument's sake. And what you do, you go to the bigger farm that has grain. You take the grain. Remember now you don't have any money. You take the grain on credit. So you owe the man, the bigger farmer, for the grain. You then take it to your field, you plant it, and at the end of the crop, you return the equivalent cash or money to that bigger farmer. That is how it was originally anticipated. You'll also hear in ancient times that money was borrowed to buy goods, and the profits from the sale of these goods would help to repay the debt and grow the business. So when used responsibly, debt becomes a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block. And of course, as Lady Elise says in Proverbs 22 verse 7, the rich rule over the poor and the borrower is slave to the lender. So it really underscores the importance of using debt strategically and to avoid it becoming, a slave to it. Consumer debt. This is where I think most of us are very familiar with. However, again, not all consumer debt are created equal. Now, how can we distinguish between good and bad debt? Now, a good consumer debt is any debt that allows you to acquire assets or improve your financial future. Now, some examples would be a mortgage for a home. Chances are the home will appreciate in value over time. 2, you will be paying towards the equity in your home when you pay down the debt instead of paying rent because you need a place to live, right? Shelter. And the other one, of course, is a student loan. If you get a loan to get an education, what you find is that those skills, chances are, will improve your income versus you still continue earning at a lower income without that additional skill set that you'd have learned at school. And I mentioned consumer debt for small businesses, business loan, a small business loan to pursue an entrepreneurial venture is something that can be good if calculated right. Now, bad consumer debt is any debt that funds items that depreciate in value or do not generate income. For those of us who have credit cards, when you use your credit card to purchase luxury goods or vacations, notice, and I say you must not buy luxury goods or go on vacation. When you use debt to purchase those, then it becomes a consumer debt and is a bad debt. So the purpose behind the debt is what makes it good or bad. Another thing that I'm seeing happening, particularly in Jamaica, and I've heard of it other places, of borrowing. Did you get that? So you paying 5% per month.
I think we had a little bit. I think you have to repeat.
I've heard up to 10% per month on your money. Sure, I was saying payday loans.
Yes.
Right? Payday loans that trap you into the cycle of borrowing.
Oh my.
Where you're already earning very little, maybe $60, right? And then at the end of the $6 per, like I know persons earning like about $6 per day, right? And at the end of the week, they go with their $300. They need something, but out of that $300, not only do they have to pay that weekly loan off, but because it's not sufficient to continue working, and so they go and they borrow again. So the interest plus on the top of the loan that has to be paid off in one time,
yes,
will also cause you to become in a bad debt situation.
It's like a vicious...
A good rule of thumb, it is.
Yes.
A good rule of thumb is to ask yourself, will this debt improve my financial situation now and in the future? Or is it just fulfilling a short-term desire?
Well, I'm looking at debt as something that like I said before, I'm scared of the thing in a way that it frightens me every time I hear about it, because I know I have to pay this money back in a situation that I might not want to be in, but this is what's happening, And as you said before, there are good debts and there are bad debts, and you have given two examples of what these debts are. Of course, as you would rightfully say, the investment aspect of it, if you're going to be investing, then more likely you would be involved in something that would actually reproduce at some point or benefit you significantly when you get into these debts.
Right. And Luke 14:28. Suppose one of you want to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? So the same thing, if you're going into a venture, right? If the venture cost, I just told a big figure, $100,000. Won't you actually sit down and work it out to make sure that you have enough money to take care of everything before you go into it? It's the same thing with when you're taking on debt. You plan for it. So if you need to borrow $80,000 out of that, you would have put down $20,000. You then look at your income. Can I repay this $80,000 comfortably at the end of the period, right? When it's time to repay. If the answer is yes, hold on, before you go there, then if the second question that you have to ask yourself, so now having done that, the answer is yes, you can pay it back. Then the second question you ask is, will by me putting myself in debt, will it improve my financial position? Now, if you put on $100,000 to purchase land and to build an apartment, for argument's sake, right? I know the cost is a bit more than that, but let us use $100,000 for this example. And at the end of the period, you know that, let's say 1 year, and having built that apartment for $100,000, it is now valued upon completion at $150,000. You would have seen that after paying off your debt, you would have improved your financial position. Because one, you would have had the property, which is now yours. Two, you'd have been able to pay off the loan because you can afford to pay that debt of $80,000 for the period of time that you're borrowing it. So if you're paying back, say, $1,000 a month, and you're earning $4,000, you may say, this home that I've just built, or this unit that I've just built, will cover the rent that I would have paid back. So one, you're paid back $1,000 a month for maybe 10, 15 years. One. Two, you actually now have a place that substitutes that $1,000 that you would have normally paid into rent. And three, you
Of course, we'll take a break, and when we come back, we have the conversation. Having some technical difficulty this morning, with Elise, with our financial advisor this morning. All right. We're taking a break, and when we come back, of course, we'll talk a little bit more about financial matters. Of course, we're talking about debt management this morning and how we manage the debt that we have.
You ever hear earthquake call and say, "Hello, Miss Lee, yes, it's me, earthquake, I coming Tuesday around 10? No, sir. Earthquake does arrive unannounced, and when it come, it shake all sense and sensibility out of we. Remain calm, stay inside, and do the DCH. Drop, cover, hold on. Once the shaking starts, you know it's earthquake. Make a quick move to a safe place. Don't run to the door, we are in the exit. Stairs might block up or full of people. Elevator, avoid that, because you might get in and poof, power gone, and you're stuck in that box without ear. Take cover under a strong table or a bed, or crouch against an inside wall or in a corner, and cover your face and your head with your arms. Remember, DCH, drop, cover, hold on. Glass windows and doors, outside walls and doors in an earthquake, bad news. Take for yourself. Most injuries during earthquakes happen when something drop and hit people entering or exiting a building. Last thing, nobody run outside and ask, you feel it, you feel it? Remain calm, stay indoors until all the shaking stop, and do the DCH, drop, cover, hold on.
Looking to build your dream home or renovate your space? M&M Construction is the perfect place. We bring your vision to life with precision and quality craftsmanship. From design to construction, we guide you every step, ensuring seamless coordination and superior results. Our professional roof inspection and maintenance services will ensure that your roof is sturdy this hurricane season. So, If you are ready to start your construction journey, call us today at 345-927-7509. Build with confidence. Build with M&M Construction. 345-927-7509.
All right.
Well, let's build with M&M Construction this morning. Of course, you're tuned in live to the breakfast hour. And of course, before our technical challenges that we were having, we were speaking about debt and when it is bad for you. And I can say confidently to our financial advisor, it's bad for you when you can't sleep at night. It's bad for you when you can't answer your phone. It's bad for you when you're just scared and the persons want to repossess your bed. That's when it's bad for you. When it affects your health, because then the mental challenges, it's a real deal. It can affect your marriages. That's when debt is bad. So I'll allow you to continue the conversation, Richard.
All right, thank you. Are you hearing me better now?
Yes, we are hearing you much better.
Okay, beautiful. So, leverage, and we'll wrap up with that, right? Leverage refers to borrowing money to invest or expand a business. While it can amplify profit, it also comes with significant risks. So, back to the same example that I just mentioned. Let us say you are now a developer and you put in that same $80,000 in debt with your $20,000 down. You are now able to sell that home or that house, that unit, for $130,000. But what if you cannot sell it fast enough? Or what if you do not have sufficient cash flow to take care of the investment? So what you find with some developers is that they take that risk, saying that at the end of the development, they would be able to pay back the loan once units are sold. And so they can find themselves in a bad situation. So if they don't have a clear plan for repayment, or then you will find that they will get themselves in trouble.
And lose everything.
The other way of bad leverage is if you invest in ventures with uncertain returns. You have, unfortunately, we have heard of some Ponzi schemes, the all-in. Those type of borrowing money to put into these investment vehicles, quote-unquote investment vehicles, that are not certain returns, you'll find it, or you may find that you hear some person speak about putting monies into Are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you. We are hearing you.
Because I saw everything freeze up a while ago. So you may hear of persons putting money into trading when it is not their cash. They are borrowing money to trade. And that is also a bad debt or bad use of leverage because you're not sure of your return. So over leveraging your business can reach the point of financial instability, and that is when it becomes bad. Good leverage, on the other hand, is when you borrow money to generate a return that is greater than the cost of borrowing. So let us assume that you have a business, you already have a location, and you now want to expand your business to a new location. You're in Georgetown and you want to go by spots. That for you may be a good way of increasing your revenue. You have one product, you want to put some monies down to increase it to two products. You have the same storefront. What you find happening, because you borrow money to invest in another set of goods, a second product, then you'll find that the profit from that second product is sufficient to to take care of the debt. And so that is where taking a loan to get, or leverage to get more from it, where the monies are paid back through the actual use of that venture that you took out. Now, to use leverage wisely, always consider the worst case scenario and ensure you have a solid plan. Now, Ecclesiastes 11 verse 2 says, invest in 7 ventures. Yes, you do not know what you have. Or most times, if you want to get a good work that you want to get the market stop. And if you never set it to all the market and you do that, right? The whole idea is that you start with one, you see through something and so on. You have you have another people, you have platform or not value. You have to do that. So that is where we're looking at. My final point, are we still hearing me?
Yes.
My final point is this now. Be the bank instead of borrowing from the bank. So the real ultimate financial freedom comes from shifting your role from borrower to lender. And here's some tips on you being in the bank, being the bank. The first step, of course, is saving. Very first one. You have to have cash to lend. So start saving your money. Once you have started saving money, then you now can start investing in cash generating assets. 2 that comes to mind. 1 is real estate that produces rental income. And 2, invest in dividend paying stocks or interest bearing bonds. Third, provide private loans. Peer-to-peer lending is doing well now, right? Go to these lending platforms that allow you to lend money and earn interest. And finally, build wealth through passive income. Create streams of income that grow over time and reduce your reliance on borrowed money. Now, by becoming the lender, you align yourselves with the principles in the Bible and in Deuteronomy 28:12, it says, you will lend to many nations, but borrow from none. Now, some final thoughts. Debt can either be a tool for growth or a trap for financial despair. The key lies in how you use it. By distinguishing between bad debt and good debt and understanding the powers and risk of leverage, you can position yourself to be the bank and take control of your financial future. Now, as we reflect on these principles, let us remember the wisdom of the Bible. And I've shared a few verses here, and strive to make the choices that lead to financial freedom and abundance. All right, that's my thought for today. And if you have any experiences with debt, bad or good, I'd love you to share some of those thoughts right here on Flashpoint through the portal. And of course, you can reach me at broker@richardfelwell.com. And that's it for me today.
I'm happy that you talked about that this morning, because for many persons, they would have experienced this phenomenon and don't understand how to navigate. And today, of course, some tools were given to at least look at what it is and how to treat the actual symptom of bad debt versus good debt. And today, I guess we are benefited this morning. Understanding these things, are some of the best things that we can do, because not knowing is always the creature that jumps out at us in the dark. because we do not know, we are suffering from that epidemic. It has been a morning, Lady Elise, thinking about the debt that we do, a bad debt, good debt. Our financial advisor this morning comes to us.
Yes, and of course we're going to be sharing that as a separate um, link so that you will be able to get the full gamut of that conversation if you have missed any of it. And of course, it's certainly worth going back to, and it doesn't get stale. It's been a beautiful morning here in Brantee, and I want to thank you for tuning in to the breakfast hour. And thank you for your support, and hope that you'll have a good day.
Listening to Flashpoint Radio, Rise and Shine, your morning boost of inspiration, news, and fun. With Mikey G, Lady Elise, and Coralie Karen, the unmistakable combination, synergized to navigate.
It's like we're running in circles, going around every day, getting stuck in the hurdles of yesterday. Don't you wanna go further, away from the fray? Let's not get stuck in our worries, we'll make our way. Won't you come outside where the sunflowers bloom? Breathe in the air, look up to the moon. I'll meet you outside, away from the crowd, just you and me together. Will I seem better outside? Just us in the sky. Are we part of this circus? Is it innate? Feels like a heavy burden, but I can't relate. Do our actions even matter? Or is this a fate? At least now I'm feeling better. I know I'm here to stay. Won't you come outside where the sunflowers bloom? Breathe in the air, look up to the moon. I'll meet you outside.